Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Moss, and today we're going to be doing our 25-minute spinal hygiene series. This series was developed by my close friend, Dr. Tommy John, and I can honestly say that this series hits upon every point that you're looking to improve in your life as far as your physical health. It increases your flexibility, it increases your strength, it really hits every area of your spine to help you move through life in a very amazing way. I highly recommend that you do this program on a very regular basis. In fact, I put myself through a 30-day challenge where I did this every single day for 30 days. And what I found was the improvements in my range of motion, in my flexibility, and in my strength were very long lasting. Meaning, if you do it for a concentrated period of time, and then you just stop for a month, 2 months, 3 months, you really will retain a lot of the benefits that you gained by doing it in a concentrated period of time. So I really recommend you try this. Give it a 30-day challenge. Why not? See if you can do it and see if your spinal hygiene and your flexibility and strength improve. I challenge you to do that. The first move in the spinal hygiene series is called spinal rolling. And there's two different ways we can do this. I'm going to first show you the one standing, but if you're uncomfortable, this just doesn't seem to connect with you, especially where you are now, you can always do this move seated. All right, for this move, you're going to stand with your feet shoulder width apart and your arms can be relaxed at your side. You're going to start by just tucking your chin, and your head is, in most of these moves, your head's going to actually direct the way the move goes. So we're always going to begin by moving our head or tucking our chin and beginning to roll our spine. Okay, so I'm going to do the move. Watch me do this. You're going to start by tucking and then extending up. So my head is leading the way, and I'll show you this from the side. It looks like this. We're going to start with flexion. And then you're going to extend on the way up. Everyone's range of motion is going to be a little bit different. I encourage you to only go as far as you can in each direction. Over time, your range of motion is going to improve, it's going to change, and you're going to feel a little stronger to go a little bit further. All right, the way to do this move in the chair is you're going to sit just with your knees slightly apart because you're going to actually be diving between your legs during the flexion. So you're going to flex each vertebra at a time, and then your head is going to come back and bring you back into extension. So it's going to look like this. And you can see each time I got to my end point, my head started to direct back into flexion, and we start to bend each vertebra in isolation as we work the move. So that's spinal rolling.
The second move we're going to be doing today is Romanian deadlifts. I know you hear deadlifts and you think we're going to need some sort of weight. We're not using any weights today, we're just using your body. So for this move, what I'm going to have you do is you're just going to be placing your hands on your thighs, and we're going to be running your hands down your thighs. This is really good for your low back. So I'm going to show you front way and then I'll show you from the side, okay? So you're just going to be running your hands down as far as you can go. So I'm going to turn sideways. And again, you want to make sure that your feet are shoulder width apart. Some really important things to remember is that we're going to be moving from the waist. So you don't want to move from the top, you want to move from your waist. So you want to do a nice hip hinge as you go down. Also to remember, you want to keep your back in extension, so you don't want to kind of curve forward. This is really going to work the muscles of your low back as well as your legs. All right, so I'll show you from the side what you have to do. And you also want to be mindful of your shoulders, so you don't want to hunch forward as you do this. This is kind of counteractive, so you want to make sure that you bring your shoulders back and you want to keep that extension. And as you do it for 5 minutes, your back is going to tire out, so you kind of want to curve forward, but make sure that you keep this nice posture as you go, okay? Cool. Okay, our third move is called lateral bending. So again, you're just gonna stand shoulder width apart. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be moving in this plane. So moving from side to side. And how you're gonna start is you're going to put your hands slightly behind you and you're going to reach back and touch the opposite leg. All right, and I'll show you what this looks like from behind. And some really important things to remember is why your hands are going behind you is we want to have good posture. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your shoulders back. So by bringing your arms behind you, you're going to maintain that posture. And as you go, it's okay if you can't reach all the way to the other leg. You just want to go as far as you can go. But at the same time, if you can reach the opposite knee, that's awesome as well. So just go as far as you can go, and as you're doing it, you always want to make sure to come back to the center. So just stop for just a second, and then go to the opposite side. This is going to create the best function.
The fourth move in the Spinal Hygiene series is going to be spinal rotations. This is one of my favorite moves, and if I just have a couple minutes free time, this is one sometimes I'll just kind of sneak in to get my spine moving. Now, it's called rotations because we're going to be working in this plane, the rotational plane of the body. It's also a little bit more complicated. It looks simple, but there's a lot of complex moves, so I want you to follow along closely so you can do this most effectively. First off, stance is going to be basically feet shoulder width apart. Your shoulders are relaxed, but I like to interlock my hands at the top because this allows you to just kind of work the rotation from side to side. Again, like most of the moves, we're going to start with our head and we're going to rotate our spine as far as we can go within our range of motion. It's going to look like this. And then back to center. We're going to do it to the other side. And then back to center. So you're kind of giving yourself a little pull at the end range, but again, you're not forcing it. In live time, this is going to look like this, okay? All right, you can go as slow as you need to begin, but I like to keep a comfortable pace as you just saw. This is really gonna hit the whole spine in the rotational plane. You're probably gonna feel it in the front of your body. You're even gonna feel it in the top of your butt, actually, when you turn to the end range. So you're working lots of different muscles, but this one's gonna help support you if you're like going down to pick something up and you feel a pull. It's gonna help retrain your muscles in your body to really sustain and hold in those spinal twisting motions. This is the 5th move in the Spinal Hygiene series, and perhaps the most important one. This is a move that in itself you can do every single day if you don't have time to do the whole series. This one is going to hit every single muscle of the back and spine, and it's really important for your neurological balance. It's called cross crawl Superman, cross crawl Superwoman. The way you do this is you're actually going to be retraining different sides of your body to work in unison, almost like when you began to crawl. That's a very important behavior for a child because it starts to integrate use in both sides of the body. So this is going to actually help us kind of relearn how to crawl, and it really helps correct some neurological problems within the spine and body when they're not working together. So if there's only 5 minutes, if that's all you have, this is the one move to do. Now it is a little bit more complicated, and the first time you do it for 5 minutes, you're going to be surprised with how difficult it actually is and how tough that 5 minutes is. So I'm going to show you a couple variations, so bear with me, but it's good to do on a mat if you have some soft carpet. Doing it on a hard wooden floor with no support is going to kind of hurt. So I recommend a yoga mat or something similar. And the way we're going to do this is you're actually going to be laying on your belly with your arms straight ahead. And we'll talk about, if you can't get your arms in this position, how to do it. Your toes are going to actually be tucked underneath because that's going to activate a little muscle in the back of your legs. And your chin, ideally, is going to sit on the ground as well. Now, I get that. Some people aren't going to be able to get in this position, so a couple of different ways to modify it. You can use a towel or a blanket of such, or even a pillow to support your forehead if you can't bring your chin up. If you can almost get your chin up, you can use the blanket to support your chin like this. Now, if you can't get your arms, because some people's shoulders are so tight, they're not going to be able to get their arms like this, you can actually do it with your arms at your side, like this, okay? I'll show you the ideal, and then we can modify as we go. So what it's going to look like is you're actually going to be raising the right arm with the opposite leg. So right arm, left leg, and you're going to lift as high as you can go and back down. Lift as high as you can go and back down. Now, this is what it's going to look like in live time. Notice my thumbs are pointed up, my toes are pointed down, okay? And you're almost going to start marching together. So it's going to look like this. Now I'm going basically as high as I can, or as far as my range of motion goes, okay? If we're going to modify, if you can't get your arms ahead of you, you're going to do it, this is more complicated for me because I don't do it this way, but you're still going to do the opposite arm and the opposite leg. It's just going to look like this. And you're going to work that until you get the range of motion back into your shoulders. And you can even just practice by seeing if you can get your arms into this position. But really, this spinal movement is going to help retrain all of these patterns. It's super important. You're not even going to realize how much of this cross-crawl behavior you've lost over time, but it's incredibly important for your brain, your body connection, and also just really the function of you overall. So I highly recommend doing this, working it into your regular routine, and you're going to see some great benefits.